Therapy is a safe space for us both to grow.
There's nothing that empowers me more with our community than just being who I am.
Yeah. Hey y'all, how y'all doing?
What's up?
How's everybody doing?
Hi viewers, hope you guys had a great day, great night, depending on when you're watching this. Today we're gonna be talking about being on the couch. I know that sounds a little like, what they mean? Well, we're sitting on couches, right? But, you know, being on the couch as professionals, as clinicians providing services to our clients, and also as we expose to you guys in other episodes that we also attend therapy, and what is it like being on the couch with our therapist. So let's start with just like an insightful question. So we talk about like awareness and healing and being insightful. So like, what's one insightful healing thought or just a point of awareness that you had about yourself today?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let me think.
That it's okay to take the simple route.
Say more.
I overthink, right? All the time. But like I'll make things difficult, like more difficult than it needs to be. And like I'll like stop myself and be like, no, it's okay to just go with the first response. Like I don't have to overthink that response. Is it right? Is it wrong? It's like the perfectionism, right? So it's okay to go with like the first response, just the first route. Life can be easy. I don't have to struggle. I don't have to just keep doing the bullshit.
Okay, awesome.
Like, yeah, that's it.
For me, it was that I don't like asking questions, and I don't like asking questions because I perceive that some people or some dynamics are not going to respect my opinion, like in my personal life. So I don't ask, and it can be perceived as I don't care, right? Because I think a part of caring in relationships is you asking questions. Yeah. So I just don't ask. And I think that was something that I realized about myself today.
Cool. And for me, it's kind of similar to Shara's. Is like, I don't like following through. If you say this weekend, this and this is going to happen, I don't like that feeling of like, hey, so what, did you come up with a plan for this weekend? Oh my gosh, it just makes me feel like I'm begging. And I'm sure I'm not begging. Like, people forget, people have their own lives, people get caught up, and it's not, you know, sometimes it can feel like you're a last thought if you go real deep into your inner child stuff, but you know, we working on her. But ultimately I realized like, I don't like to follow up, like, cause I'm good for it. If I say it, you gonna know what we doing at least that morning, you know? So I don't like following up, but I'm pushing myself to do it because I realize that I ain't about to be uncomfortable. I need to know what we doing, how we doing it. So if I'm nagging you, then I'm nagging. If we need to have a conversation, we have a conversation, but I don't like to follow up.
That's good.
All right. So let's talk about like our experience as clinicians and providers. How do you prepare for your clients? Like, how do you make sure that you're okay, that you're available, that you have space to even be in your role?
It depends on the day of the week.
Okay.
Right? There's some days where, bruh, I'm waking up like probably 10, 15 minutes before that session. I'm taking that quick shower, getting myself together to like be virtual or whatever it is. And then there's some days where it's like slow and I'm like getting up in the morning, I'm opening my blinds, I'm checking on my plants, putting the music on, and I'm making my breakfast and vibing, and then I'm sitting, you know, like it's like a whole process. That long, like luxurious day is typically Mondays. Like I like to start my week with ease, but then sometimes in the middle, you know, we're human. Sometimes It just turns into those moments. So I think it's just starting that day with ease, though. It does bring a sense of like calmness and levelness when you're going into sessions.
Yeah, I agree. I think when I'm not intentional with my time before I see clients, even if it's one client that day, then I'm more flustered. or maybe not as patient. And I feel like I'm a great clinician, so the client may not feel it, but as a therapist, like, you know, when you're like half assing it, right? So ideally I like to have at least 2 hours before to myself before I see clients. I love music, so I'll do sing-alongs, or I'll make up like a little quirky dance or post something on Instagram. That's like my thing that I like to do to get ready, because I do see heavy cases, like particularly with my specialty with maternal mental health. If I'm dealing with like a mom who just lost a baby or something like that, it's heavy stuff, right? So I just want to make sure like I'm light, so that I have the capacity to handle some of that heavy stuff. And you just kind of never know what's coming on the couch too. So you might have somebody who's coming in because they just want to work on themselves. They're like Trina. They coming in and they just want to be the best version of themselves. They're maintenance clients. They're not, you know, they don't have nothing really going on. It's like a little adjustment disorder. It's nothing too crazy, right? But then they had some chaotic thing that happened that the past weekend, and they're coming in and they're like sobbing, or there's some trauma that they endured. So even if it's like a low maintenance client, you really never know kind of what's going to happen in that session sometimes. So I try to, but like Kima, I have moments where it's like 6 minutes before and I'm like, well, thank God for virtual.
Right.
You know?
And I be telling myself, like, it sucks to suck. This is what you did, girl. So you just gotta like fight through it. And it just is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think I do anything different, and I think it's heartwarming to know that I'm not alone. You know, it's heartwarming to know that, because some days, you know, y'all say 15, I'm saying 5. Some days it's 5 minutes and I got enough time.
We gotta do it. Where's that?
We got, you know, I gotta make sure to just brush my teeth, get the cold out my eyes, and drink a little water so my throat,
That's
you
real.
know, is moist.
Yep.
You know, there's days where I wake up with enough time to go to the gym, to eat, and to then be available for my clients. But ultimately, I know I'm my best self when I do self-care.
Right.
Agreed.
It's needed.
Yeah. What about, like, y'all feel like being a little vulnerable?
Sure, let's try it.
All right. Well, what about like hard days? Like a hard day, like, I don't know, you've got into it with a family member, you're experiencing a breakup, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling depressed, I don't know, the tire went flat. Like, what about like a hard day? How do you all provide services on a hard day?
It is very difficult. I had a couple hard days, a lot of hard days this year. I'm tripping. And I remember one day I just couldn't do it. Like, I had to cancel sessions. Like, I was just like, I can't deal. I have to reschedule people. But there's days where I'm like, okay, what are we doing today? Are we doing EMDR? Because your eyes going to be closed? I bet I can like wipe my tears while I'm talking to you, or anything else. I think it's just more so it could be healing and getting out of yourself and getting out of your thoughts and like helping someone else. But some days it is really hard and stressful, because it's like, I just want to be there for me, but I can't even be there for me because I probably got like, it's probably like a long day where I got like fucking 10 clients today, you know, and it was an accident how I set up my schedule, but now I'm stuck, you know, like, so it's just being patient with myself. But there's some days where I'm like, okay, I'm taking a nap in between each session because I just emotionally can't do it. There's some days where I'm just like, okay, I'm doing it all from bed, and it just is what it is, and y'all gonna see me in bed. And I just, at the end of the day, it's the humanness that they see. Yeah. So I just take it day by day.
Yeah, I think about a story. You know, I'm very grateful to God that I'm in a position right now where I'm self-employed. So I have a little bit more leeway on if I really am struggling to like cancel my sessions. But about 2 years ago, with one of my last full-time jobs, I remember I was driving 2.5 hours to come to work because I was like transient at the time. Drove to work. It was cool day, whatever the case is. I didn't eat breakfast that day, but I remember I had Starbucks, and I had my first client at 9. I was feeling fine. Started seeing that client, and then all of a sudden the room started spinning. I'm like, what the heck is going on? You know, like, I've never had this happen before. So I close my eyes, and like, it's virtual, so the client's like on telehealth, and I mute the camera and I close my eyes. I'm like, oh, you tripping. closed, I muted the camera and the microphone. I said to myself, "You're tripping. It's fine." And I opened my eyes, and the room was still spinning. I said,
"You ain't tripping, girl."
And I was like, I can't freak out because I have a client in front of me, right? And so I calmly said, so and so, could you just give me 1 second? I just have someone at my door that I have to address, and I'll be right back. Muted her again, and I'm like, Tashara, what the heck is going on? And I stood up and I couldn't walk. Long story short, I was having some type of like hypertensive crisis. And, when you think about like, how do you see a client on a tough day? Honestly, my initial thought was like, this can't happen right now. I'm with a client. Like,
That's
this
always the first
cannot
thought.
happen right now.
I can't afford this.
Like, just wait till lunchtime. Give me 3 more hours. Like, this can't happen right now, And thankfully, I had great support system in my colleagues, and I was able to get help, and my clients were rescheduled and stuff like that. And that's when I was working full time. Now, as a private practitioner, if I'm really in a low place, I'll cancel. Unless like it's an emergency with a client, because at the end of the day, I'm still a service provider. But I do try to put myself first. But if I'm having one of those where it's rough, but I feel like I can thug it through, honestly, I'll just do more active listening. I won't necessarily engage as much audibly, but I will be there. I'll be present.
Right.
I'll my physical body will be there. I'll be locked in. I'm listening, and I might just do more like head nods, or I understand, versus like a lot of emotional energy putting out if I just don't have the capacity, honestly.
Right.
No, for sure. I agree. Sometimes I can, and sometimes I can't. And for me, I think it's really checking in with myself and figuring out, can I be a service to this person? And if the answer is yes, I push through it. I practice my own coping skills. Sometimes I'll include meditation in the beginning because the client can benefit from it, and it's helping both of us. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. And sometimes I say to my client, "Hey, Sandra, hey, Rebecca, like we both need this today." And it just brings this beautiful presence in the room because it makes everyone human, right? And now that power dynamic isn't there, but it's like, okay, like this person struggles too. And then sometimes I can't, and as you all mentioned, I'll reschedule or cancel or whatever the case may be, and just make sure that those particular clients have the resources that they need in case they really needed to talk with me.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of a conversation I just had with a client this week, and this client is a nurse, and we were talking about like side hustles and things like that. And she was saying, she's a new grad, wants to make more money, but just the dynamics of, being a new grad and not being able to do like travel nursing, all these things, like to really get the higher pay. And she was like, I told my partner that I would rather like drive Uber, do DoorDash or anything like that to get more money, even though I have 2 bachelor's degrees, then pick up another shift as a nurse. She's like, it is draining work. So I don't want to add, that's not something that I think is cute for me, is to add another shift, and so we started talking about it, and I would agree, if at any point I needed to have another form of income, I would not get another social work job, because the work we do is already draining. And I think that it's important to check in and to know, like, outside of what we do professionally, we are human beings. So we still have our own stuff that goes on daily. That doesn't stop just because we have this cape that we wear, a couple hours a week. So I don't think that's something that we're taught in school or that companies reinforce in regards to boundaries and self-care and really protecting the practitioner, because burnout is real.
It's real.
Very real.
For sure.
There's some days I don't even want to talk to clients. Like, just period. Like, nothing's really wrong. I just don't want to talk. Like, I don't want to help or anything. And like, some people will be like, "Oh, are you taking new clients?" No. I don't care if I got room for 6 more. I'll be like, "Nope, I ain't doing it," because it's just a lot on us sometimes. And I think sometimes we got to recognize, like, you don't always have to save other people. Sometimes it's about saving time for yourself.
For sure.
So
1,000%.
Yeah. So what is like being a practitioner? Like, what is some of the benefits? How do you feel when you're in that position?
It's rewarding. Like, I like seeing clients win. I like seeing them like understand certain behaviors and do something different and even recognize it. Because sometimes they'll do something different and they don't recognize it at all, right? So I like when they're like, girl, they tried it today, but look at how I handled my anger. You know, I'm a winning, you know, all of those things. So I like seeing them win. I like seeing the growth and the progress. I like them coming in and being honest about their flaws. And I made a joke like this week because I was like, I logged onto a session and the client logged on and she was like, Kimovich, you felt me mad at me. And I was like, bitch, what you did? Like, what happened? And we both were just laughing. And she was like, it's okay. I messed up, but this is how I'm dealing with it. This is how I understood. This is how I came back and I apologized. Like, she told me what she did wrong, what she did right, how she recovered from it, how she's not shaming herself. And we were just laughing all through the session. And I'm like, that's growth, is knowing that it's not about not making mistakes. It's about, I made the mistake. I recognize it. I'm able to be big enough and not have that ego to say yes or no or whatever and come out on the other end and then laugh about it with my therapist.
That's powerful. You know, as you were talking and I'm sitting here and I'm reflecting, like, what is one of the most like empowering things about my role? I think it's seeing people's strengths, honestly, and like pointing it out. So like team social work, shout out to social workers. A big part of our perspective is strengths based, right? It's this idea that no matter who we are, we all have strengths. And if we try to lock into that and utilize that as a way to motivate the client or move the client forward, that's something that is powerful. And, you know, from my teens to my older adults, it's like, man, you guys are amazing. You know, even with the depression or the dysfunction that you're in or liking chaos like we talked about in the last session or whatever the case is, like, you all have some amazing strengths, some that I can relate to personally and some that I would wish that I have. And like being able to help them see it and own it is like super powerful to me, particularly my older clients, because it's like little old me, you know, like you could be my grandma, you know, my mom's age, and the fact that like, you know, you see me in such a light, it's humbling, to be honest. That age dynamic is just something that's special to me, particularly as I reflect. But yeah, strengths, man, that's like super powerful.
For sure. Yeah, I say for me it's refreshing. It's refreshing, just as you said, talking about the strengths. I always talk about like, I'm not reinventing anything. Whatever you give me, I'm helping you utilize it to be your best self. So it's amazing to experience that. And my super, super hopeless clients, like, I love to see them see the light at the end of the tunnel. Oh, that's like powerful. Imagine like, you know, 2-3 months of like, I can't do this. There's no other way. I'm a failure. I had a difficult time getting out of bed to like, so guess what I did? Oh, it's just amazing to experience that. And for myself, I offer sessions at the park because sometimes that's the only way a person may get out of bed. So even just kind of seeing their mood change from being on camera to being at the park, it's just like, yes, like get that vitamin D, like and increase all those hormones. So it's just refreshing for sure.
Yes, powerful. You know, I'm thinking about a case where I was working with this client for a while. She was going through a separation and it really was impacting her, as breakups do for many of us. And at one particular point, we could laugh about it now, and I'm sure she's okay with me like reflecting on this story. She came into the office and she said, you know, I really was hopeless last week, and I sat in my car and I considered if I wanted to live. So I'm just, you know, present and listening. And she said, you know, the reason why I didn't act on that thought? I said, what was your reason? And she's like, I thought, who would tell Tashara? I said, really? And we just burst out laughing. I was like, well, you know, I'll take it, you know. And she was like, honestly, like I thought about that. And she's like, you know, we work so hard together, and I value, you know, this dynamic. And I promised you that I would, you know, try and all these things. And she's like, no, I couldn't let you go out like that. I said, well, I appreciate you that you thought of me in such a difficult time, you know, but like, you know, seeing clients in that severe state of hopelessness, which a lot of us, when the cloud is so strong, it's very challenging to see past it. And then them getting to a place where they can see and reflect, like, imagine if we made a significant decision at that emotional state. And then that is emotional for them too. Like, man, you're right. Like, you know, if I just pushed through to the next day and the next day, I'm in a different position. I can't even imagine what my headspace was at that time. So there's so much power in being in this seat. It's overwhelming sometimes. It's a lot of power. Like I tilt my hat to you all, because I think literally you all are lifesavers.
Yeah.
Like the surgeons are, yes, and you know, our first responders are, absolutely, but therapists save lives daily.
Daily. For sure, for sure. And I think, you know, I want to kind of end on this note. We talked about what it's like being in this seat, and it's refreshing, it's rewarding, it's powerful. And that's taxing, right? On the body. As beautiful as it is, it's also
Absolutely.
a very taxing experience. So when y'all leave the office, y'all lock the door. When you close down your computer from Zoom, how do you check out? Like, what's your routine? How do you shake, you know, all those emotions and all those energies that you've taken in for the day? What do you do to get rid of that?
So if I'm at home, typically it's like, I call it like the island wind down, right? My West Indian ass. So like I literally, cause I have like my office, so I'll like close the laptop, close the blinds, shut the lights off, close the door, right? Walk into the kitchen, wipe down, clean, like all of that helps my brain like really go down, and like the overthinking just really quiet out. Like being able to like wipe the water off the sink and make sure it's like, you know, cleaned off, that like my space is organized, fix the pillows if I did it from the couch today, make tea, you know, literally just making tea in my routine. Yeah, like I do like a little, and
Nice.
it seems,
That's
it
that
sounds,
island.
it sounds like a lot, but it's actually just really simple, but it's
Yeah.
cathartic of just like, okay, you know, now I got to take a shower, and I lay in bed and I drink my tea, and I just like watch, you know,
Okay,
TV
auntie.
for the
Right.
candles and all, sis. Yes,
Rich auntie
you know,
vibes.
lavender. But like I'll do that if I'm at home, and obviously like walk the dog and stuff like that. And there's some nights or some days where it's so heavy and like that isn't helping, that I'll just walk my dog for as long as possible, and then I would like, when she does her little sniffing thing, I will literally stare at the sky. And I'll look at stars and, oh, can I see this? Can I see that? Is it Orion or Orion, whatever? Is that, or is it Mars? Is it Venus? Like, what's the moon saying? Like, I'll connect back with like civilization to ground myself. But if I'm leaving the office, baby, Trina know our office. If I'm leaving the office, sis, I'm getting in that car. First, I'm locking the door because I'm not getting kidnapped. All right. And then as soon as I'm in the car,
kidnap for me.
right. As soon as I get in that car, I'm putting this music on and I'm blasting all the way home and just shutting my brain off. Don't call me. Don't text. Don't none of that. I'm blasting that all the way home, taking a warm shower, drinking some tea, and going to bed. Tea and bed is always in the mix. But that is my wind down.
It's the tea in the bed.
She is the Caribbean auntie. Yes,
know.
that's funny. We
It's
love
real
it for
sad. It's real sad. That's the
No.
only thing that stuck is tea.
you. That's something.
That's
Identity.
something. What about you, Shara?
Man,
Thank you, Kima.
that's awesome. One of my favorite things is I'm silly. I'm real goofy. So I love jokes and laughter and comedy. So some dynamic, whether that's a comedy, comedy special, watching it, or like looking at like silly stuff on Instagram, making my own content, being silly or stupid, like just being goofy. Like that is again, I deal with heavy stuff. I hear people. I am a safe space for all these individuals, and I hold space and all that deep stuff. So after, we about to be silly, straight up.
For sure. Yeah. For me, I think I do several things, but if I'm leaving the office, most of the time I ride home in silence. I let the top bag, let the windows down, and I
Flex
get
on them top back. Period.
Right. She didn't even say she was opening the sunroof. No. Top back. Go
Top
ahead.
back.
I know that's right.
Listen,
Big body.
use your imagination.
Big body.
So yeah, and I just let that wind beat my ass.
Clients be doing to you, right?
But no, but like for some reason, that wind just flopping and the seatbelt on the other side just going. I don't know. It's just like music to my ears, and I just think. I don't know what I think about. I can't tell y'all what I think about, but my thoughts just flow, and then I figure out what I'm gonna do when I get home. And the other thing I do is talk. Like I'll call a friend or cake a little bit or whatever, or call my mom or my grandma. Or my grandma, she sells paparazzi, so I'll just watch her live because that's like a whole shift. And I'm watching jewelry that I probably already seen or didn't see. But either way, it's just like a mindless activity. So I'll do that and like buy a couple things and call it a day.
I don't understand how people talk to people after a session.
Yeah.
Like I applaud you.
Yeah.
'Cause I can't hear other voices.
Really? Okay.
It really it irks me. If I have to, unless I said like, I'm going to call you for like something quick and I've made space for that. When people call me after, especially if it's a long day, it's like irritating to me.
Yeah, I think that's some of that stuff is personality.
Yeah.
You know, like some of us, we're more introverted or
Yeah.
we don't really like the talking thing, and then you talk for all day, so that makes sense.
Facts.
Yeah.
Now, some days I don't feel like talking, but days I do, I make a call.
I applaud you.
All right. Well, thank y'all for this episode
Yes.
on the couch. Don't forget to follow us on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and what's the one you made? YouTube. There we go. I don't know how that slipped my mind, but YouTube, Natural Eayze, and that's EAYZE. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell your mother, tell your brother. See y'all next time.
Bye.